As you are able and willing, please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, thank you all for coming. We do not have anyone who has signed up to deliver public comment, or did but didn't mean to. So we will move directly into the report of the secretary. Please have a motion to approve our minutes of our last meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, January 8th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. The usual sterling job.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have no comments.
Same.
Comments or questions? All in favor? That's 5-0, thank you. Brings us to the report of the chair. A couple of things for me. First, our next town officials meeting will be on February 12th at 8:30 in the morning, I believe, is when we do that. And I don't remember, is that one in Elliott or no? Are we having it?
I don't want to say anything.
To be determined.
I think it's at South Berwick, but
Okay.
I will send something out as soon as we get
Very
clarity.
good. So, as we've always done, if you want to attend, please coordinate with me, and we'll make sure we don't have more than 3 people in the room. Great, okay. Secondly, I have an MSBA update. The MSBA board met last Saturday. DOE Commissioner Pender Macon came and talked to us on a couple of topics. First, because she knew everybody in the room would be interested, was the money stuff, which was that the governor's biennial budget includes $108 additional $1 million for education over the last 2-year budget. She's committed to maintaining 55% average funding for schools for the EPS funding. The mill rate is going to be 6.1, which I think is much lower than it has been in the past, but of course we've got other things going on like town revaluation of property in towns, so we'll see how that plays out. And the hope was that the ED 279s would be released as soon as this Friday, so we'll get a look, hopefully by the end of this week, as to what our picture's going to look like going into our budget season. Secondly, she did an update on a study that was commissioned by the Department of Education as part of an initiative they're calling Measure What Matters. They commissioned Battelle to do a study. They did over 1,000 responses around Maine. Diverse community groups including public school alumni, higher education folks, business and industry, families, policymakers, community leaders. And then from that data, they determined what it is that the community in general thinks the public schools ought to be doing around educating our kids, which was really, really cool. Number one priority, durable skills. The ability to think on your feet and adapt to changing circumstances. And there was a very high priority placed on holistic student development, academic, social, and emotional. In other words, the whole child. They're very interested in ensuring that schools have community engagement and partnerships, which is also very important. They look for adaptability and resilience, and they think student voice is very important. And what I found most fascinating about all of that was that we just had our presentation and approved our portrait of a graduate. It lines up very nicely with what's coming out of that study. So
Awesome.
just a reflection on how it's going for the district.
Nice.
We also had a presentation from an organization called Support Maine Public Schools. Their goal is to ensure a safe, inclusive, and equitable education for all students in Maine. This is a group that formed itself in response to some of the things that were happening around the state in various school boards around negative public comment. I would suggest, if you're interested, the website is called Support Maine's, in the plural, supportmainespublicschools.org, all one word. And what they're doing is that they're posting good news stories about what's going on in schools throughout the state. And I would suggest that y'all have a look. We might even consider participating in that good news going forward. Okay, that concludes my report and brings us to the report of the superintendent.
Awesome, thank you very much. Earlier this year, we talked about doing some student engagement check-ins with all of our buildings. At the last meeting, we talked about the elementary schools. So tonight, we're going to have the middle school and high school just talk a little bit about student voice, student agency, and some of the things they're doing within the building. Brett, you want to go first? Awesome.
Oh, mine's moved.
Oh.
Okay. So I actually tried to think of what exactly is everything, and I was kind of surprised myself at the number of things that have evolved over the last few years of the things that we're trying to do to give students voice. So this sounds like a lot of various different things, but I wanted to make sure I didn't miss too much. But we have a new structure to student government this year. They actually presented a proposal to the leadership team, which the leadership team accepted. And so we're trying to work with them to have them bring forth some ideas and thoughts and go through that process and giving them that voice. The student government and our class officers through advisory are doing a lot of that work. We are also meeting on Friday to meet again. So it's a new structure, but it's working. And then currently that group runs our homecoming and winter carnival weeks as well. So a lot of positive things were there. We survey kids a lot to try to get that feedback. We've already talked a little bit before about the NEASC vision of the graduate that we ask kids to chime in on. We get a lot of feedback from our bar, iTime activities in those programs. We currently have coming up our My House survey, which comes up every 2 years. So this February we'll be surveying students on the drug and alcohol survey throughout the state. And of course, we also, our counselors survey ninth graders on how their transition from middle school to high school goes, and taking that information and making positive changes for them. Counseling department is always soliciting student voice to help support students through their academics, extracurriculars, and other aspects of high school education. We have Jermaine Moore coming at the end of this month to do part 2 of a civil discourse workshop. And again, I think we had about 18 kids who participated in round 1 of that. We're trying to expand that to maybe 30 kids of how can your voice and how can you be an influence in our building in a positive way, and then create some action steps and measurable things for them to go out and make those positive changes. Open discussions about school climate and how we treat each other is really the focus of that civil discourse. For the 3rd year in a row, I get to be a class advisor by default. And when I say by default is no one else wanted to do it. So I have the junior class, and I couldn't say, well, maybe someone will do it down the road, because they just had too much to do. So one of the things I did was create a prom committee, and I've got 10 students on that who are really doing an incredible job, thoughtful job to plan for the music, the decorations, the theme, all these things, and I'm trying to let them just take it and run with it, because it's their prom, it's not my prom. I've been to enough proms. So I'm trying to make it theirs and have them be a part of that. And then there's just an overall shift, like you saw in the vision of the graduate, to giving student choice in the classroom. Now, I'll be honest with you, it is easier in some subject areas than others, but one specific is our English teachers are really giving students choice to read and present the materials and books that they want versus everybody's reading this book. So they're giving student choice in there, and we're trying to expand on that through other core subject areas. But it is difficult in some core subject areas, you know, in math, for example, because I was a math teacher, you still need to get through all the components of the lessons. So
Yep.
that shift is happening through Vision of the Graduate, which is what we worked on today as a staff following the most recent survey, and that very subject came up, as did capstones.
Nice. Great. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Yeah,
Brett.
thank you for mentioning that you've been doing the student or class advising, because like we really appreciate that you always step up and take care of things.
I
and-
really don't mind it at all. I know
Yeah,
I say that, I really don't mind it. It's kind of a different aspect, and
Yeah.
it's been fun. So.
Yeah, but it's very nice because
Yeah.
I know you're the principal, so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I kind of did a MMS recipe book for success, and it will highlight a few things in here. So our table of contents, so a lot of things intertwine with student voice and choice, but I broke them into groups of student engagement, family engagement, preparedness, bar, and student voice. So this recipe for student engagement, I'm gonna leave here tonight and be like, oh, I forgot to add this. I do it every single time, like the civil discourse, we have Jermaine come in and he's working with, so I'll get there. So a lot of the things we did, we have a 12-day holiday countdown. About 20% of our students participate in winter sports right now. Our clubs, our NJHS, our student council, our yearbook. The first two really drive our school, and I meet with the NJHS students once a month, but actually every morning they kind of have an impromptu meeting when they come up to me and we have another idea, and so we try to make those ideas work, or we'll have to be like, pump the brakes for a second, we have 8 projects going on with you. So student-driven holiday displays in our lobby it's a really great thing. Each year something new is happening, and we're going to be doing a great little activity for Chinese New Year that's coming up that a student's really excited about. We have 100% of our 7th graders participating in a public speaking activity with a simulation. We have a great relationship with the food pantry. The 6th grade on their own is constantly getting the students engaged and giving back. We are having a mindful and strong wellness day in the spring, so we're looking really forward to that. So the students are going to have a lot of choice in that and really learn about their mental health and their physical health during that. Our gifted and talented is really taking off, and I asked some of the NJHS students, like, where do you guys feel like you have voice? And this was a big one, because a lot of those kids will come up with these grand ideas and don't think that it's possible, and then we're starting to make them like the newspaper, and hopefully our podcast will come soon. And another thing that the students are really engaged in, and it seems silly, but the Hawks Nest Cafe, if I don't pick a winner and announce that on Monday morning, I have, like, the phone rings immediately. Who got picked? Who's sitting there? So they really, really enjoy it, and it's just a small thing. So the cooking time is 3 years for this recipe, and it serves about 485 students. So family engagement. We have our monthly assemblies where we're always inviting families in. Even if your student isn't being honored for something, they're always welcome. They're part of our Hawks family. We try to get the parents in for volunteering. We had a Halloween hop and a gingerbread hop at night for different grade levels. The Allied Arts Night is working on it, and this is going to be our first year doing it since I've been there. So we're really going to be, it's going to be student-led, we hope, so we're looking forward to that. I try to send out a principal's newsletter to keep our families updated on what's happening, what did happen, what they can be a part of in the future. Again, I talked to you about the Mindful and Strong Wellness Day. My MMS principal Instagram, I get stopped by a lot of the families saying that they really like seeing what's happening in the school day. And then we try to do a lot of giving back in the holidays and really wrapping around those families that need the little extra love. So that's our family engagement. Again, cooking time 3 years. So preparedness, how are we preparing our students? A lot of it is with the transitions. So meeting the principal at, I have a meet the principals night for MMS, and then I go to Rollinsford to do that, and they also come when we're at MMS. We have an open house. The 6th graders go to Great Works. Our kids go up to the high school. We go down and meet the kids at Great Works for a day and see what all their questions are, and to let them know we're not as scary as they think. Step Up Day, I invited Rollinsford students to attend our last assembly so they get the feel and get excited about coming to Marshwood Middle School. We also have, for students, an academic after-school support. So for some of those kids that are really struggling trying to get things done at home or during half time, here's an extra time that someone is there for that executive functioning, finishing things up. And we also have math and reading intervention. Our adaptive PE is on its way, so we have already assessed our students and just waiting for that to happen. So that's going to help prepare our students more. Transition meetings for IEP students, we're starting to plan those. I can't believe it. It's already that time of the year for them to start transferring up. And we have interventionist meetings. One of the things that we really work out at the middle school is the tobacco prevention. And we have Chelsea come a lot and do work with our kids, and they did sidekicks. And they really are teaching the kids how to talk to each other about if they don't, those awkward conversations of how to be like, I'm not into that, or this is what this is actually doing to your body. We take the kids up to the Sanford Regional Technology Center for a visit, and we try to instill our core values all the time. So, and I've said these to you a million times, courage, respect, compassion, honesty, fairness, and responsibility.
Quick question, do all the kids go up to Sanford? Does the whole school go?
Yeah.
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 That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool. A lot of the staff, the younger 7th and 6th grade staff members are always like, well, I'll go, but it's for 8th grade. But the students really look forward to it, so it's a great time for them to go and see what options they have.
Yeah.
And we are really wanting to move that and bring more career readiness to our school. So social emotional learning. We have our advisories. Every month they're doing an SEL topic. On the morning announcements, I try to instill those morning announcements of being responsible, respectful, and safe every day. And of course, we have our BAR, building assets and reducing risk, and we try to wrap around the whole child. So it's not just their grades, it's not just their attendance, but it's their mental health, it's their attendance. This is where our biggest communication with families are. So if you're out for 2 days straight, a teacher or advisory teacher is going to email their parents and say, we miss your child. How can we help you? And then just finding as many community resources we have to help when random things come up. And then we're really working on restorative justice this year and trying to be proactive with students instead of reactive. And we're looking to redo our whole behavioral system and work on repair more than just consequences. Repair, how can they fix this? And then lastly, student voice. Their allied arts selection is one big thing that that we're really proud of, that they get to select which allied art they want to be in, their interest. Students, when they have an interest, they come and they want to put it on the announcements for other kids to hear. Student planned activity nights, the NGHS, they're constantly planning things. So school counselors are, student council is. Another really cool student voice is we're part of the Children's Book Council this year, and so they get to read a whole bunch of books, and then they get to vote on the books, and then our list goes out to the published books of these are their best books from Marshwood Middle School. We love these ones the most, so we're really excited about that. Students came up to me and asked if they wanted to do a mural, if they could do a mural. So that is happening. I think I mentioned that before. Students pick staff members of the month. They have to fill out a full application and give their reasons of why that staff member should be the student of the month. What's happening a lot, which is, it's so sweet to see kids. Mr. Petrie is obviously not feeling well. They all made him 1,000 paper cranes and sent it to him, and one student made one mobile of 1,000 cranes. And so that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to do a bake sale, so of course we're going to do that. And they want to donate all the money back to him. And then the 6th grade newsletter. And there's always going to be more to come from Marshwood Middle School. So.
Yeah, I just want to say, thank you. I appreciate your creative leadership style and your willingness to think outside the box. I find that, people with your style of leadership, it empowers the community and staff members to also be creative. And I've seen some really cool things the last couple of years. And even just like the other day, I saw a flyer, it's for a fundraiser for Girl Scout and that you're hosting in your middle school.
See, I forgot about that.
Yeah, see, and it's, for celebrities, or, you dress up as your favorite celebrity or what have you. But that's just an example of how probably a community member felt that they were empowered enough to be creative, to be in your building.
Thank you.
So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm going to take a video of Principal Goulet on
Seriously.
on roller skates.
Yes.
So that's the
Thank you.
Roller skates, please.
Next on the agenda is just a Rollinsford update. We received a letter, and I'm going to try to get the facts as clear as I can, but recently at a Rollinsford School Board meeting, there was a community petition for a warrant article, and there was members of their community that asked that they consider having all of the students from Rollinsford attend MS-80 35 schools. And so there's a couple of things that go on there, and so I'm not really necessarily sure on their process, but we were asked the question, are we able to accommodate that? And so currently, we've just renegotiated our 7 through 12 contract with Rollinsford, and so that's already in place, and so we would now be talking about kindergarten through 6th grade. We are having a meeting, hopefully on Friday afternoon, just to be able to talk a little bit with Mike Blau, who's the board chair from Rollinsford, to kind of find out exactly what they're looking for and have that conversation. But I think just to frame that work is that those relationships have to be mutually beneficial. And so like, how is that mutually beneficial? How would I describe that? I'm going to give you just 2 examples. So one might be having more students at Marshwood High School creates a more robust set of offerings for students. And so, so if we were a smaller school, we might not have as robust a number of offerings, but now maybe we're able to offer 2 or 3 different AP classes that maybe we couldn't traditionally offer because of the size of our student body. So that becomes mutually beneficial for our students to be able to have that experience. The other part is obviously the revenue stream. Is that, is this financially beneficial for the district to do this? And so those are all things that we have to talk about and calculate. And so it's not necessarily just a matter of counting classrooms that we would do this. I think we would want to gather some feedback, be able to have kind of a more in-depth conversation. We know as of today, we've said this a number of times, that there is room at our Marshwood Middle School for the 6th graders tomorrow, if that would be the desire of the Rollinsford board. And so just because the warrant article is out there doesn't mean that necessarily Rollinsford is going to do this, but they wanted to get some information, and so we'll get the information together for them. So I just wanted to provide a quick little update with that. There'll be more information to come. The other thing that we have talked about is they did approach us to be able to help manage the special education department for the Rollinsford grade school. And so we are looking at that. And again, this is the same idea, is that, is it mutually beneficial? And so we look at the finances of that. How does it impact our students? What would it allow things to happen at different schools? Like, what would be the advantage for us to be able to do that? And so we're working some details out. We'd like to bring that to the board with our thoughts in a potential contract shortly. So just to make you aware that it would be really important to have that on the plate and kind of determined prior to the budget presentation in the first week of March.
Awesome.
So 3 things: the contract, the special education, and then the community warrant article that's out there right now. So there are community members from Rollinsford who are really nervous, and that's their school, that represents their community, that gives their community identity. And this is their decision. There's part of it that's their decision, there's part that's our decision, and so we just want to take it really slow and be respectful of that. That's really scary for a lot of people, and this is a group of people who did this petition. It wasn't necessarily the entire community.
Do you know when they intend as a town to vote on that warrant article?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. Those are the questions I'd like to get answered on Friday.
Yeah,
when
okay.
we have more of a
Sounds
detailed
right.
conversation.
Good, thank you.
Ryan is going to provide a detailed enrollment update for us. Again, this is going to be really the final numbers as we start to try to prepare our budget for next year. For next year, this will be kind of what we base our class size on, and so there might be a small variance from what you saw earlier in the year. So we wanted to kind of do an up-to-date. I think we said as of the 8th. Ryan, is that about right? Yeah. So, go ahead.
So as Mr. Caverly said, this will kind of be our final enrollment that we're going to use, or projected enrollment that we're going to use to start building the budget. So just kind of looking at Elliott Elementary School, there were some minor changes since the last time I presented this data, but nothing like statistically that's going to change really anything. But we just felt it was important that you had the most recent and up-to-date numbers. So we're projecting about 286 students at Elliott Elementary School, 52 in the pre-K. So just to give you an example of like how our process would work with like a pre-K. We would probably project, if we're going to have 52 students, that we'd want 2 staff there, and then there would be 4 sessions of 13. So like we're making sure we fit inside that class size policy and that we're doing what we need to do. That's how we would kind of do it. So we'd kind of go down through each grade level and say, this is how many students we have, this is how many staff members we need to be able to fit inside that class size policy, and that's what we bring forward as when we bring forward the budget. Central Elementary School, we're projecting 403 students, so kind of still being up around that same level we are this year, over 400 students. The Great Works School, we'd be at 290 students. Marshwood Middle School, 487 students, and Marshwood High School at 662 students. So we'd be overall around 2,128 students for next year. Just so you see that column for 2025, that's our current enrollments right now. So we're at 2132, so we're projecting relatively flat enrollment.
So the biggest swing is, if you kind of go back 3 years ago, Elliott and Central's enrollments got very, very similar, you know, within 30 or 40, and so now you're starting to see the Central enrollments, you know, really take off at this point in time. The other factor that's part of this is going to be the 3-year-old program that we're creating, and so that's going to also be, you know, one of the issues that we're going to address during the budget season. Any questions about those numbers? And this will be part of those individual workshops. We'll go through this.
Yeah.
You know, again, I always say it, but I think it's important just to point out that it's really easy to do, you know, 5th grade and below numbers, right? Because you just take number of students, number of teachers. It's very simple. When you get to high school, it's really about the choices that we offer students. And so, you know, for those staff members, there is some that customized education piece where we've really been working hard on that, and so that that really is part of that formula when we do that work. So, awesome. Thank you, Ryan.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Just with a heavy heart, I did want to point out that I was sent a letter from Denise Brooks that she will be retiring at the end of the school year. Denise Brooks, I believe, is 37 years has been with us. And she is a Marshall graduate. And so just one of those people who just is an unsung hero across the board in this building, is just a culture shifter, just, you know, institutional knowledge galore. So, you know, Denise is going to be really, really missed. One of the things that she's doing for us now, and I hope that she'll continue going forward, is that she and Mike Zamarki are really the 2 co-chairs right now of trying to get together our alumni association that we're working on. And so Denise, both of them being Marshall graduates, have those connections, and so we're working really hard on that. So we're very fortunate that Denise is still willing to partner with the district. So obviously she'll be very best. You know, it'll be a tough job to fill, because it's just such a diverse skill set that she has.
Yep.
The other thing, just before we go to the student report, I just want to remind the board that February 12th, which is that second meeting in February, so remember now February break falls on the 3rd week, so we'll have meetings back to back, so it'll be the first Wednesday, then the second Wednesday. On the second Wednesday, at 6 o'clock to 6:45, we will have a Rollinsford Board workshop, and so that's an opportunity. We have that opportunity twice a year to sit down with the Rollinsford Board and talk about things. I would assume the conversation that we just talked a little bit about on the agenda regarding, that would be probably the prominent issue during that meeting. So I just want to remind everybody, and that would push the FNF meeting to likely 5:30 before that meeting. So, Nicholas, student report.
So before we do, there was a number 4 on here, on our agenda around opportunities for college credit. Was that something?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, gosh. Yeah, so we had a great meeting today, and we're trying to find those areas which make the most common sense to be able to continue the programming that we have. But how do we enhance it? And one of the ways that we would do that, obviously, is that can we offer a college credit? And so Heidi's really taken the point on that over the last couple of days, making some reach outs. Lindsay Etzen and Angie have been great, and so we're working together. We met with Brett today. You know, there are different criteria at different schools. For instance, some of the main schools require that you not only have a master's degree, but you have a master's degree in that subject area. So it creates a little bit more restrictions, and so there's a bunch of different options that we're looking at. And so that will be part of that, but really I think looking at things really quickly, like as we talked about, foreign language might be a really easy place to look at initially, along with a couple of others. The issue that is coming up though, and I just think, you know, it would be part of the budget presentation, is that there potentially could be a cost per credit for students. And so the question is it an opt-in program where students, you're taking, this class that you can have a dual enrollment part in. If you want to pay the $150, you can get credit for. Is that something that the school pays for to be able to pay for the dual enrollment? Will the state continue to pay for that up to a certain number of credits? And then the other issue that we run into is that the state of Maine offers that for Maine students, but our friends from Rollinsford would not have that same ability, so how do we manage that? So those are some things I think we just want to make sure we get all of our details in a row before we go further.
Yeah.
Okay? And we'll have to have this pretty much decided and in place, by the time the course selection comes up. So
Right.
we're a pretty aggressive timeline to be able to get this information.
Great. Thank you.
Okay? Perfect. James?
Awesome. So for sports, girls basketball has continued to improve its record. Right now they sit at 10-1, which is amazing. And their next game will be away at Biddeford. Boys basketball will also have an away game at Biddeford tomorrow at 5. Wrestling has their senior night tonight against Massabesic, Portland, and South Portland. The Nighthawks boys hockey has a game at Wyndham tomorrow at 6:30. Ski team has a meet right now tonight at Pleasant Mountain. And indoor track has a meet at USM on Saturday at 12. Student Gov doesn't have too many updates from the past week since we last met. We're still working hard within committees, and we're working to plan a good winter carnival in February. For extracurriculars, Civil Rights Team has worked to hang up some pictures and quotes for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. They've also gotten some MLK quotes into the daily announcements for the week. And as Mr. Hoogterp said, they've been working on planning a civil discourse day with Jermaine Moore, and that'll be at the end of January, which is really awesome. The school musical, Pippin, has determined its cast, and they've started practicing. And they're putting lots of hard work in because it's a really difficult show, so they're working to perfect it. Interact Club is looking into a February fundraiser for cancer awareness, and the planning is going to be happening over the coming weeks. We're also introducing a new set of expectations for members in order to maximize participation and service to our community. Hold had a few members go on an overnight hiking trip to Pinkham Notch this past weekend. It was really cold, but they got some awesome outdoors experience. And then the GSA recently made a slideshow to give some information to freshman advisories, and they're still trying to gain some more members. And then finally for student life, not too much in the past week also. We have midterms next week at the high school. YCCC will be hosting some on-the-spot admissions, and the school counseling department is going to be having some mindful midterm stress relief periods for just midterm support in general. And that's all I have.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thanks, James. We have no correspondence on which to report, so we'll move into the report of the committees. First up is Finance and Facilities, which did meet earlier this evening. I'll do a quick review of the numbers. So through the end of December, we're actually ahead. Revenues are ahead of expenditures for the first time in memory during the course of the school year, so that's kind of cool. Just worked out that way. The general cash at the end of the month is well above our $1 million threshold, below which we start to worry about it, but we're in January now, which is a 3 payroll month, so a big chunk of that will go away this month. Adult education is doing well, received some money from the state, and we're now at something like $48K to the positive. There'll be some additional income coming in, but expenditures, this basically, as it does every year, that is expected to just sort of glide slope down to zero by the end of the year. We didn't get a December update for school nutrition because the numbers we don't get finalized until a couple, 3 days from now, or something like that, or anyway.
Yeah.
But school nutrition is still trending upward. Federal grant money has been coming in as well, which is good. That's been an improvement over years past. We're getting that more frequently. And we're a little bit ahead. Revenue and expenditure target through December should be about 50%, and our remaining budget, both on expenditure and revenue, is slightly above 50%. So we're in a good place right now. The numbers look good.
Great, yes. Facility update. So the lighting at Great Works School is back up and running thanks to Todd and Ed, who did a ton of the work to get everything repaired and working once again. The water system at the high school, which was manually being filled regularly is now working like it's supposed to, so we're all set there, yay. The bleachers at the stadium and the inside bleachers have been inspected, and so some maintenance has happened. So actually, the stadium repairs or maintenance has already been completed, I believe, so that's good, right?
Yep.
And then a transportation update. So the state of Maine has discontinued an agreement for the software product that we were using for the routing of the buses. And so a committee has formed, and the committee has reached out to a few potential vendors, and they're interviewing those vendors and testing out the software to see which product would best suit our district needs. Hopefully there'll be additional money coming from in the form of a subsidy from the state so that we can make this purchase. Because we need it, obviously, to run the buses. The SVPP grant, the central office front entrance is complete, but we're still waiting for the swipes to be installed in the back of the building. I think I say this like pretty much every meeting. So yeah, it's been taking a bit of time to get that installed and in working order. We are looking at potentially relocating some of the grant money that was left over to defray some of the upcoming costs for the district. We're looking into an Alice stipend position and some software, et cetera. So obviously, whatever we spend has to meet the guidelines of the grant. In terms of the food service update, we had some leaders from the Chartwells come today to talk yogurt, and we talked student choice. So we're looking at some various products and for yogurt, basically because of student complaint in regards to the Stonyfield product and just being a little watery and not so good. But then also some of the processes in place for the staff in terms of scooping out from various containers and just efficiencies. So we kind of explored those issues. I think, the board committee for facilities really kind of, communicated our desire in terms of, hopefully choosing the most healthy product, but also a environmentally conscious product. Ideally, if they're going to go into single-use yogurt, we would like biodegradable containers. So they're going to get back to us with those options because the ones that we tried today were not. And they also are going to provide student choice and samples to various yogurts starting very soon at all the schools so that the students can be a part of the choice of the selection of the yogurts, because there's lots of options out there, and we're just going to make sure we have variety, but then also that we're environmentally conscious and health conscious. So it's a big decision, folks. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ed Policy will next meet on the 29th of January? Correct. So nothing new to report there. And Wellness SEL will next meet February, I'm sorry, is it?
Oh,
Yep.
We
I
had
thought it
moved
was
that-
reversed.
We had moved it from the 22nd to the 29th. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the reverse of that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So those committees will next meet coming up, and we'll get updates at that time. Which concludes the report of the committees and brings us to new business. May I have a motion, please, to approve the use of our transportation by the Elliott Recreation Department?
I move to approve the use of MS80 35 transportation by the Elliott Recreation Department for the following trips. February 18th, 2025, Great Bay Discovery Center, Greenland, New Hampshire. And February 20th, 2025, Chuck E. Cheese, Manchester, New Hampshire.
Kate, thank you. Good. Anything to add on that, John?
No, that's just something that we used to always do in the past and gotten away from due to the pandemic, and now we're back kind of in full swing trying to support
Good.
each other.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions from the board?
Oh, that's great.
All in favor? Good, thank you. Motion, please, with regard to the approval of an anonymous donation.
Ooh, I move to approve an anonymous donation in the amount of $3,000 for Marshwood Great Works School's Pinkham Notch trip.
Second. Kate, go ahead.
Kate, you have a second? Sure. Anything to say about that?
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you. for
yes.
sharing.
Anonymous.
Whoever you are out there.
Wow.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Tonight is
Awesome.
the first meeting for the fifth graders. They had their first parent meeting tonight.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yep.
That's
good.
Yep.
Finally,
So
it's back
great.
in
That's
gear.
awesome.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes,
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
yes.
That's 5-0.
It's an easy one.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Yes.
And a motion, please, to approve a donation from Red Hair Incorporated.
I move to approve a donation from Red Hair Inc., the Hill family, in the amount of $605 for the Marshwood Middle School Community Closet.
I'll second Lisa.
Lisa, thank you.
It's lovely.
Very cool.
Anybody want to comment on that, or?
Christine, did you have any?
Christine, do you know anything more detail about that, or?
They just, the Hill family was just very generous and
Yep.
wanted to go to our community closet, so we're gonna meet with NJHS and, student council to see the best way to, from the kids, what else do they need in there that would
Great.
help them get through the day and feel
They tried to
comfortable.
make a store-ish on the
Oh.
stage.
Yeah, nice.
And so they had a couple of community volunteers come in and kind of help and try to make it a little bit snazzier. And, you know, and so,
Oh,
great.
yeah.
And a little bit more private.
Nice.
So,
Sure.
and there's a variety of items, so
Yep.
It's great.
we're very
Very nice.
lucky.
Awesome.
Comments or questions from the board?
Thank
All in-
you.
All in favor? That is 5-0. And yeah, let's say that one more time. Thank you to the Hill family.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes new business. We would typically do building administrator check-in at this point, but you folks have both already checked in. Did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Maybe two quick things.
Please, go. Absolutely. I didn't want you to feel like you had to.
Sophomores just concluded their visits to Sanford and Dover, those who had signed up. So we're getting ready to start that process where they apply, they get interviewed, and then ultimately they get accepted as they go through that process. Just as a reminder, last year, I'm guessing this is a fact. Last year we had, or this year I should say, 110 students in vocational programs between the two schools, Sanford and Dover, which is about 35% of our junior and senior class. It's got to be the highest number we've ever had here. It's definitely been the highest number since I've been here, because we were around 80 or so, and to go from 80 to 110 is terrific. A continued shout out to girls basketball. Not only are they 11-1 because they won last night, they're number 1 in heels with about 2.5 weeks to go in the regular season before they start, positioning themselves for playoffs. But right now, we are number 1.
Wow.
As the other teams are starting to get into their position as well. And like James said, we're preparing for mid-years and then the start of the third quarter after that.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Put my jacket on. One of the things that I mentioned is our Mindful Wellness Day. We met as a committee today, and we're really looking forward to doing where the kids, it's going to be a half-day event to start, so we get see what works, what doesn't work. We're going to have kids being able to hopefully get someone to come in and do some healthy cooking with the kids. We will hope to be outside for good weather, so we want to have like a little track and field event for the kids. And we also want to find some areas where the other kids that aren't interested in those things can either puzzle or read or do some creative art. But we just want it to be a day where we bring families in. They volunteer, and the kids are learning about how to best be healthy in a variety of ways. Food, exercise, community. So that's what we're working on right now.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts or comments from the board? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
It's you.
I will, I move to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor? That's 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Very